we're going to change things up. Not going to talk about putting farkles on our bike.
We're not going to talk about putting what on the bike?
We're not going to farkle the bike. We're going to talk about how we can farkle ourselves. Hey everybody, Two Awesome Dads Adventures. I'm Jeff. Jody is behind the camera, and only for a few minutes before he'll be joining me up here. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to be talking about us for a change. Meaning, instead of about farkles and cool stuff to add to the various bikes, the BMW or the Triumph, we're going to talk about how we can take care of ourselves, starting with some of the most basic camping gear. What do we sleep on? Well, first of all, we haven't been camping, at least myself, for the better part of 25 years before I got back into it. And in that 25 years, a lot has changed, and all pretty much for the better in this case. We were looking at, well, we've got to travel light, we've got to travel compact. So what are we going to get out there? Well, we want to start with some kind of sleeping pad. And I opted, as my first choice, this item from Mountain Equipment Co-op. And this is a nice bag that holds this mattress. Now, at first blush, it's not too bad. Has a valve up here you open up, and in about 20 so minutes, you don't start to fill it with air. It'll take a while, but it'll fill up some air. Now, as you can tell by my leaf figure, as a middle-aged dad, I'm not really that skinny. And the problem is, I like to roll. And these mats, this is about the same size as a popsicle stick. At least that's what I found out real quick. Is that in a matter of a few minutes after I fell asleep, I was off and I was looking for this little chicklet in my tent. Where did it go? It's gone. I couldn't find it. It was that small. So that didn't last too long. Decided to upgrade. Jody, he said, Jeff, I got an alternative for you. And he introduced me to this. This big boy here was Jody's idea of a mattress. And I'll admit, this is not wrapped up as tight as it could be. It probably could be about a 1/4 inch skinnier. And this would be on the back of the bike. Look at this. I don't know, size of a small bungalow. This is massive. But for him and for his tent, he opted to go with this. And it is, what is it, Jody? Is it like a queen size, king size? This couldn't be more of a contrast in an inflatable. This is a self-inflating one, right?
That's right, Jeff. Yeah.
Right?
It's a double wide.
Double wide. I can hardly open it out with my both arms. It's huge. So I got one. I thought I would like to be like Jody. He seems to be comfortable. Relax. Had a good sleep in the morning. And he had slept on this. Well, I tried this. The problem is with my 2-person tent, this was literally wall to wall. And I didn't really find that convenient to carry. This is a really big mattress. Hey, but Jody, you've used it quite a bit. What do you think? It's actually one of your primary ones up to recently.
Well, hey everybody. Yes, Jeff, this was my primary one. And what I found so handy about this, and me not being a guy of particularly large stature, and this being doubled up like this, I found it to be very, very comfortable. My tent, fortunately, was a little bit wider, so it accommodated me quite well. The issue that I ran into when it was spring of 2020, I think it was. And we went on a trip, and it was very rainy. I had a small stream running through my tent, and it was already wet. By morning, I had mild hypothermia because I was actually sleeping on the ground in this wetness. And this poor thing, not only is it actually bulky, but I was on the ground and I was wet. And this is where Jeff's new idea comes in, and I'll let you take that one away.
Awesome. All right. Well, before I leap to the final solution of our travels, when I decided that this was not going to suit me, I opted for a Thermarest, another one of those self-inflatable ones. So you can see, compared to the green one I had, quite a bit longer and wider. So this was a pretty good solution. I didn't mind this one. For the most part, it's pretty compact, you know, put it in the tent, open the valve, you know, a couple minutes later, it was pretty much full, you know, a couple of breaths of air, and it was pretty comfortable. Again, a bit of a roller. I roll around a lot in my sleep. This was much better than that toothpick I had, but still, I don't know, could be better. Again, my hips, laying on my side, for example, this still wasn't really that comfortable. In 2019, Jody, we went to the TourTech rally out here in the Northwest in Washington, wasn't it? Yeah, and that was a great time. Our very first time we had gone to one of those rallies, and really was a great experience. Met a lot of fantastic people and learned a lot. And interesting enough, like a lot of conferences I've gone in my lifetime, is that often while the speakers and presentations are interesting, there's always a nugget or two you pull out of it. Sometimes it's the other conversations you have with other people, other participants, in this case fellow riders, where you come away with some of the real gems, the real lessons. And this was one of them. Now, we met a fellow from Montana. His name was Brad. Really nice fellow, retired from the U.S. Army. And he came out on a BMW 1200 GS, so we knew he was top-notch, top class, right? Not to say about the Tramp guys, of course. Hey, Jody. But the point is, hey, you know, we got together, got chatting, and he talked about he was going to be sleeping on a cot. Now, I have to admit, mental image of a cot, one of those big old wood ones you used to get, you know, from like the 1950s, you know, that kind of cot, big, bulky, the ones that would snap your fingers off trying to assemble it and disassemble it. That was my mental image when he said cot. I said, no, you're not bringing a cot on a motorcycle unless you have a trailer. Now we were looking, couldn't see a trailer, so I thought, that can't be. So he showed us. He had an actual cot. And one of the ones that we opted to get, Jody and I got, was the Helinox version of it. We're going to show you in a moment it all set up and give it a comparison to these mats that we've been showing you. But what I will mention, a couple of quick things are, really altogether size-wise, not too big, not too bulky. A little heavier, obviously, but all around in terms of physical size, not much different than the Thermarest, and certainly by comparison to this bad boy, this looks pretty leaf, pretty small. Another thing was not inexpensive. A fairly serious amount of money goes into this compared to these mats, and that's one of the downsides. It's a major investment. However, money well spent, and we'll show you just in a moment.
Like in a combat zone putting together a Bangalore.
It helps to have the right end of the, okay, is that the seal then? No. I don't know if I can really say it's much different than the comfort I have at home. Okay, gotta
That's the tricky part.
Yes.
Making sure it's the right way.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. The beauty is if you get it wrong, right? it's not the end of the world.
No.
Get a table. Oh, I'm going to do do it in the middle. Lock. And
No, there's some release mechanism, right?
Oh, moron. Jeff, you put it on this side, right? This is the first thing. And then, like that.
Right, yeah, okay.
Right, see? And you get like that. And then, but there we go.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so again, it is.
You gotta play with it a bit.
Yeah, but once you do it a couple times, you got no problem. And then you click that open. Start with the opposite end. Get it in the spot. I'm just gonna move it down a bit so I have a firm surface to be working on. And there we go. And then a little bit of pressure in the middle.
That's right. Yeah, you're supposed to put pressure on it. And
There. There we go. And I honestly think it's a little simpler to do if you're on the ground as opposed to a table.
Yeah, true.
But open that up, start on the opposite end. There we go. And line it up, square it up, pressure. And look at that, eh?
I remember now.
Boom, baby, boom, look at that. Yeah, a little bit dirty. I'll have to clean that off before I repack it, but.
That's big enough for your carcass.
Yes. There's actually an extended one. Would be too long for my two-man MSR tent.
Yeah.
Would be too big. But the this size, you can see, you know,
Yeah.
allows so that you have your sleeping bag. If you have kind of an inflatable pillow or anything like that,
Right.
the beauty is that you know you've got the height. You're not sliding off. Your feet aren't falling off at the end, anything like that. And so yeah, so that
Yeah.
is the contrast. Just thought I'd show. There's the mat.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Right? Really comparable in overall dimensions,
Yeah.
right?
My goodness.
Really comparable. And when you roll it up, remarkably similar in the dimensions as well.
Yeah.
But you know, here's the big part of it. You're off the ground. You're physically off the ground, right?
Yeah.
On a hot day, this would be some air flowing, and a colder night, stuff your riding gear, like your pants, your jacket, you know, the bag, some other stuff underneath here, makes room in the tent, but then takes up that space so that the air, cool air, doesn't get you chilly from underneath. Obviously, another solution to that would be to put that mat back on.
Well, yeah.
But then then you got a cot, then you might as well go to the hotel and go to the Holiday Inn and, you know, you might as well skip this whole part of it, right? What's be the point? No, I think, to me, having used this last year in the limited amount of riding and camping we could do, this was fantastic.
Okay.
So you see the comparison with the Thermarest.
Yeah.
We saw how the one before from MEC was, well, like I said, toothpick size comparison. And then we had the mother of all mattresses, the Uber mattress over here. You know, yes, it's at least as thick as this off the ground. And of course, if you roll it out, you could probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 man tent with that sucker like that. That's like king size, right? But the downside is so bulky on the bike. I mean, it's a huge space consumer on a motorcycle. So weight-wise, not much, right? But space, it's really, really, really bulky.
Well, and with the wind resistance, I think I had my bike, I lost a couple miles per gallon with it because it was very
Yeah.
bulky.
crosswinds like we got there, and parts of Western Washington there. Yeah, like that just grabs onto that, right? And there's the last thing you want on that Triumph is anything else to slow it down. So thanks very much, everyone, for watching this episode of Two Awesome Dads Adventures, talking about camping cots, mats, mattresses, bungalow size, right to your small toothpick size. We've covered the whole ground. We've lived, we've learned, we've been through it. This is what we ended up with. We both have our own Helix cot. So if you like this episode, click like. If you're not a subscriber yet, become one. Well worth your time, more to come. And again, we really appreciate your comments and your time to watch us. Thanks again, we'll talk to you later. Bye for now. Taking a picture of our last shoot. Oh wow, that constitutes. What a camera. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I bet you can. Now, can you hear this? So, do you like the shirt? I can change in a whim if you don't like the shirt.
No, the shirt's good.
Really? Because I could change into this one? I could change into that one?
No, it's okay.
All right.
Whatever you gotta do to hide your fat.
Yeah, well, thanks. All right.
That was